Emma.
Yes, ma'am.
What do you call about a story from times of old about a celestial rodent-like mammal?
I don't know.
Star Fox Legend. Hello, and welcome to Talk This.
It's dangerous to podcast alone.
I just liked how Star Fox Legend sounded kind of like Apex Legends. Like, it still has that nice X ending in a way that
You're right.
felt like...
It ends with X.
Well, it's 2 syllables, it ends with X, basically the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's how words work.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for tuning into the show, listeners. I'm your person who knows how words work host, Madelyn.
I'm just your word host, Emma.
She also knows how words work, as evidenced by word.
Yeah.
And this week, we're going to be talking about Star Fox 64 and Apex Legends. I didn't realize until I started reading about Apex Legends that the new season starts this week.
Really?
Yeah, Season 4 kicks off on Tuesday, I think.
Is that the one they announced at the Game Awards, or was that the previous season?
So right now it's Season 3, which is Meltdown.
Or did they just announce, like, Christmas events at the Game Awards? I don't remember exactly.
I did not tune into the Game Awards this year, so I can't confirm or not. The new one is called Assimilation, if that helps.
No.
Wow.
It must have just been, like, a Christmas event. But you missed it, because Jeff Keighley, that's his name, right?
I missed it, so I don't know.
Jeff Keighley, the guy who does the Game Awards every year.
Game Awards, Jeff. Go on.
And Mirage, they're best friends. So they had a whole 6-minute conversation, which is actually pretty impressive.
That they could talk to each other for 6 minutes? I'm just
because obviously Mirage is not a real person. He's a character, so it was pre-made video.
Right.
But it was pretty convincing in terms of, like, the timing. So they must have rehearsed it a lot.
Dang.
Yeah.
The power of live theater.
Yeah.
Sort of. Except not at all.
Yeah. Half live theater.
The power of somebody's alive theater. So before we talk about Apex Legends and the power of live theater, apparently, let's talk some about the 1997 classic, Star Fox 64.
That's not the first game in the series, you know.
I know it's not. But weren't we talking about Star Fox 64?
We can. That's the most well-known one. It was just Star Fox on the list. But we're talking about the series as a whole anyway. That's what we usually do with. That's what we usually do with franchises like these anyway.
Okay, so. It's good that I did a lot of extra research about the original Star Fox, because otherwise this would be real embarrassing. Did you know Star Fox 64, though, is listed on Wikipedia's iconic list? Greatest video games of all time.
I would have guessed so, yeah.
The original Star Fox may be as well, but I cannot confirm that.
Is it not in alphabetical order on this Wikipedia list?
I don't look at the list. I look at the Wikipedia page for the game, and that page usually calls out that it's on the list.
Oh.
I also think it's organized by year. And then alphabetically.
Oh, yeah. That would make more sense, I guess.
Yeah, can you imagine just me being like every week? I mean, I guess you can.
I just assumed you have this list up at all times so that you can check it before starting any game.
Playing something Wikipedia approved.
If it's not on that list, what's the point? Yeah.
Okay, fine. So we're not talking about Star Fox 60. I mean, we are talking about Star Fox 64, but mostly we're talking about Star Fox, and we're also going to talk about how dumb I am. I thought it was weird. I thought it was weird that we had picked, like, the second game in the series.
64 is the most well-known one, right? That's the one that people actually associate with thinking about Star Fox. And with stuff like this, we talk about the franchises anyway. We've always done that. So
I'm just roasting myself. Don't mind me.
Okay.
Just putting myself on a rail shooter where everybody gets to shoot at me.
Continue. Feel free.
Roasting myself?
Yeah.
No, I'm done now.
Okay.
Okay, fine. So the original good thing I have this written down too, folks. Came out in 1993 for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System.
The SNES.
The SNES.
I don't know if anybody actually says that, but I do, because it's fun.
I say it in my head a lot. Did not grow up with one, so don't feel like it's authentic. Wonder if people in a decade will start calling things the PS5.
I hope not.
The PS5.
Nope.
PS3.
Stop.
See, that's how people feel when you say SNES, probably.
No, it's not. It's different.
Anyway, it was the first game to use polygonal graphics on a Nintendo system, and it was the second ever Nintendo released 3D game. First one was a Japanese-only release called X. So it was a big step forward technologically, and a lot of that was thanks to the help of a tiny UK studio called Argonaut Software. Did you read anything about this?
No.
Then I'll tell the story. So Argonaut Software were this like teeny tiny, like 3-man basically United Kingdom studio, and they got Nintendo's attention because what they did was they figured out how to break the copyright protection on the Game Boy.
So one. Nintendo came to kill them.
Actually, they came to Nintendo at CES, literally like with a Game Boy to be like, look what we did.
That's asking for death.
Instead, they were flown to Kyoto and offered a 3-game deal.
Wow. Nintendo of the past was so much chiller.
They took a gamble and they won. No, because
I don't think that would work nowadays.
I don't either. I don't think it would work at all. But at the time, like, they were the first ones to, like, break through the copyright thing, and so it was technically impressive, I suppose.
Yeah.
Because basically the system, what it would do is check that the cartridge, put the Nintendo text in the right place. Mm-hmm. And so it was kind of a, like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. Because if you don't have it in the right place, it won't play the game. And if you do, you've used Nintendo illegally, and you could be sued for that. Mm-hmm. So they found a way to trick the system into thinking that Nintendo was there when it actually said Argonaut. And apparently that was really impressive to the dudes at the CES booth for Nintendo. Anyway, Argonaut there's a bunch of interviews with them for the 20th and 25th anniversaries of the game. But basically, they proved themselves as really good programmers, and a bunch of them got hired directly by Nintendo, and they made this new graphics chip that allowed all of these big, gigantic leaps forward in 3D gaming. And then, once Nintendo had what they wanted from them, they were done. But still, for this itty-bitty little studio, it was like a huge thing that they basically got relocated to Japan to work with Nintendo and directly with Miyamoto a lot of the time and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So kind of wild.
It's pretty wild.
Doesn't work like that anymore, I don't think.
Well, Nintendo hates when you touch anything that's their copyright, so they must have learned it somewhere along the line.
Also, another fun fact, this game's concept, so Miyamoto came up with it, I think when he went to the Inari Shrine that we went to. Mm-hmm. Because he talks, they say, so the fox part of it, obviously, is a shrine to Inari Okami, so that's where the Star Fox part comes from. But even apparently the on-the-rails gameplay comes from those arches.
Inspiration can come from anywhere, man.
Who knows? It could be BS. But yeah.
That's very weird BS. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's a strong, if it's a lie, it's a really like bold lie.
I mean, nobody's gonna call you on anything when you say it's your inspiration, but that's like a very specific thing to say. You know?
Whatever. The dude
makes it less likely that it's a lie.
Dude runs Nintendo, so assume his brain works weird.
Surrounded by things that aren't very inspiring most of the time because it's just the same stuff.
He just stares at Mario all day.
Yeah. Mario's not very inspiring, to be honest.
So now that I've talked all about some of the behind the scenes inception of the game, it's a 3D scrolling on the rails aircraft shooter.
With a Rumble Pak.
Okay, N64 was the first to use the Rumble Pak.
Yeah.
I don't think the original Star Fox had it.
It didn't. 64 did.
Can you imagine controllers without vibration?
Not really. I can't imagine equipping something to my controller so that it could vibrate.
Yeah, it's definitely...
It's like an extension.
It's a foreign concept.
I mean, Nintendo loves their controller extensions.
They do.
Yeah, so it makes sense that their first Rumble version was something that you attach to your controller, because that's just the Nintendo way. But what a weird thing of, like, ordering a game and it comes with something that you can attach to your controller so that it rumbles sometimes. Do you think... I didn't look into it, but do you think people liked that? Like, do you think when they initially introduced vibration, like, were people like, this is cool, or were people like, this is throwing off my game and it sucks?
I don't know. I didn't read that deeply into the Rumble Pak, to be honest.
Because I like vibration so much in games. I think it's really cool when games use it well.
I feel like I rarely notice it, except when I have my controller sitting on something and it is really loud.
So for me recently, like, playing Death Stranding, like, the motorcycle, like, especially the first scene at the beginning, like, the vibration really makes it feel like a motorcycle. I don't know.
Maybe more what I mean is that it's most of the time done at least pretty well, and so because of that, it's just not, I don't even think about it.
I don't love the vibration on the Switch.
I literally can't call the sensation to mind.
Well, like, Celeste, it sort of vibrates, like, every time you dash or die, which means it's just vibrating all the time. So when I used to take off my hands off the controllers after playing Celeste, they would just have been numb to all feeling, which I didn't think really helped me in playing that game.
A little extra challenge.
Yeah.
Just a little spice.
It feels like in some ways like an artificial way to, like, make you feel more nervous, you know, because it simulates, like, the feeling of your hands shaking.
Here's a hint, Emma. It's all artificial.
What?
If anything, the rumble is a little bit less artificial of a way to make you feel nervous than anything happening on the screen.
No, but I mean, it actually, like, simulates a physiological response that your body associates with being nervous.
No, that's true. Sorry, I'm just being
I don't know if that would actually do anything, but that's the first thing that jumps to mind.
I'm just being snarky because I'm disappointed I researched the sequel. Don't mind me.
I don't know why you're so fixated on this. We always talk about the whole series anyway. It doesn't matter which one you research. They're all more than 10 years old.
But I wanted to be prepared.
For Zero. But Zero sucks anyway, apparently, so it doesn't even matter.
Whatever. You'll never understand. Because if we were talking specifically about 64, I could talk about the promo video that Nintendo...
You can still
I'm
talk
going
about
to. I was
that.
just...
Wow!
I was just roasting myself. I was going to go on to talk about it. You interrupted my flow.
Go ahead, talk about it.
Nintendo Power subscribers got a promo video, which was apparently a thing they did semi-frequently for games in the 90s. For Star Fox 64, here's how it was described. It revolves around two agents of Sega and Sony kidnapping Nintendo employees and forcing them to reveal information about the upcoming Star Fox title by torturing a Mario doll.
Is one of them Yoko Taro?
I doubt it. It does seem like something he would do.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like they probably actually hired people from Sega and Sony to be in this video.
Yeah, no, I was just kidding. I mean, you know, it gets the attention. All the old video game ads of the olden days were very much not centered around, like, the game at all. It was, like, live action stuff.
Show us the gameplay.
Cool it was.
Show us the gameplay.
In this, it wouldn't even show you, like, what the games looked like. If you look at a lot of ads from back then, it's, like, mostly just, like, real people doing things.
How spoiled we've all become.
Yeah, we really have.
So we should probably talk about the game a little bit.
Sure. You already described what it was. It's not very much more complicated than that. It's a rail shooter.
Didn't describe that you play as Fox McCloud.
Oh, well, that's kind of self-evident.
Literally, it was not self-evident to me. Literally a fox.
You didn't know Fox McCloud?
I don't play Super Smash.
Okay, but still, he's Fox McCloud. It's a pretty iconic character.
I know. I'm just embarrassing myself left and right. I hadn't put it together. There are a couple of iconic video game fox-like characters.
Slippy Toad, Peppy Hare, and Falco Lombardi.
And
why is his last name Lombardi? Is that a bird? Or is it just...
Lombardi is like the Super Bowl trophy is the Lombardi trophy.
Maybe that's it. That doesn't seem right, but maybe.
His first name is the animal part, so they had to give him a last name.
Yeah, but the other ones have adjectives. I mean, not McCloud, but even that's sort of whimsical, right?
Yeah, it doesn't make too much sense.
I was reading it, I had known that before, that his name's Falco Lombardi, but reading it out loud and looking at it, I'm like, man, that's a weird name for your character. I guess there's also Wolf O'Donnell, which is somehow worse.
Then there's General Pepper.
That's a dog. One, see?
He's a dog.
Yeah.
And Bill Gray, the Bulldog, commander of the Bulldog and Husky units.
Of course.
Proof of this game. Can you pet General Pepper?
I doubt it.
Probably not, you're right, but if only.
It's like the police chief on My Hero Academia.
Can you pet him?
No. You can only use charged language against him.
You mutt! The poor dogs that have to deal with the casual speciesism. Probably General Pepper deals with it too. And Wolf O'Donnell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a Rails flying game.
Yeah. I'm sure there's a real name for that. That is escaping me.
They refer to it in the game as corridor mode versus all range mode, which is where you can move around an arena for the bosses.
Right.
And Star Fox 64 has local multiplayer.
Yeah, including a Battle Royale mode, I saw.
A Battle Royale mode. I mean, that is what it is, but that's a funny way to describe it.
There's even I never think about it this way, but even the battle stuff in Crash Team Racing is kind of Battle Royale mode, isn't it?
It is.
You just don't think of it that way when it's local, I guess.
Yeah. It doesn't feel quite as royale when it's only you and your two friends.
Yeah.
There is a story to Star Fox in Madelyn's lower corner over here.
Mm-hmm.
You fight against the villain Andross, who almost destroyed the planet Corneria in the Lilat galaxy or Lilat system. The game is also not called originally Star Fox in Europe, by the way. It's called either Star Wing or Lilat Wars. Because it sounds too similar to the German company Star Vox or something like that. And they were
Lilat Wars is not a good name.
It's not. It's really not.
Star Wing is fine, but I wouldn't even know what Lilat Wars was.
Anyway, Andross is exiled to planet Venom, which, why did you exile him to that planet? That feels just like a bad call.
They were hoping you would get poisoned and die or something.
And then, the Star Fox Brigade periodically gets called in to help take down Andross. You discover in Star Fox 64 that Andross's true form is a floating brain.
Of course. That's always what it's got to be.
I agree. Pretty much no choice.
like, at the end of the day, all ultimate enemies must just be like a giant floating brain.
At the end of the day, aren't we all ultimately just giant floating brains?
No, we're average-sized floating brains.
That's true. You're right. Only villains can be giant brains.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, if you've seen these characters, you've either seen them on the, like, Switch Online, NES Classic system, or the Virtual Console, or, more likely, you've seen Fox or Falco or Wolf in Smash.
Is Falco a character, or is he just there for the final Smash?
I thought he was a character.
I know Fox and Wolf are. Wolf is an echo fighter, I'm pretty sure.
Wow, using Smash terms at me. No, Falco is a playable character in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Neato.
So, I was right, and you were wrong. Also in Smash Bros. 4.
I didn't say he wasn't. I was just asking.
Yeah, he is a playable character.
Well, he has to have been in a previous Smash, because the whole gimmick of Ultimate is that everybody's here.
Well, except Waluigi.
Except for Waluigi, who is unfairly excluded.
They've more or less abandoned Star Fox.
Yeah. It's a similar sort of situation as Metroid. Although Metroid, at least ostensibly, has something in development, but they announced it like 5 years ago now or something, and it hasn't been updated at all. But just in that, they released like some pretty high-profile failures, and then just sort of like backed away from it. Which in Star Fox's case was Star Fox Zero.
Which was 2015, 2016, something like that?
2016, I think.
Yeah. So I guess it's only been 3 years. But it does seem like people have liked the games less and less the more they stray from the kind of rail shooter mechanics.
Yeah.
But also, man, it's really hard to imagine making a rail shoot. I mean, I know that there are like in plenty of, I'm sure, great indie rail shooters in 2020. But it's hard to imagine Nintendo throwing a lot of weight behind a rail airplane game.
I mean, they're remaking Panzer Dragoon.
That's true.
That's exclusively on the Switch.
That's true. But Panzer Dragoon hasn't been available like anywhere for forever.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Which is not the case with this one. So, it'll be interesting to see if Star Fox dies a quiet death or revives itself as like a, I don't even know. How could you turn this, how could you modernize this genre?
The Gummy Ship.
Oh god. You're right.
Take your cues from the Gummy Ship.
You're right. Ugh.
The most interesting run for me is Star Fox Adventures from 2002, which is one I had actually previously heard of, because it's basically like they took another game that was being developed and was like, actually, this probably won't sell, so we'll just sort of stick Fox on top of your character. So now it's a Star Fox game. Like, I think I'm pretty sure this is the one in that Crystal was supposed to be the main character, and it wasn't a Star Fox game. It just happened to have sort of the animal human aesthetic, but Nintendo or somebody was like, must have been Nintendo, yes, it is this one. I'm looking at the thing now. It was called Dinosaur Planet. It looked cool, like it had some
not
cool
a great
stuff
title,
going.
that's all.
But Nintendo just did not have any faith in it and was like, what if we gave Fox some mystical staff and added some rail shooter elements to it? People love that. And they didn't. I'm pretty sure. Pretty sure they didn't.
Well, they sort of did. They seem to have a history of changing their mind about what to do with Star Fox, because they were gonna release Star Fox 2 for the SNES, and it was done. And they have since released it on Virtual Console, but they decided to pull it, like, at the last minute, and do it on the N64 instead. But the guys at Argonaut were not pleased, because that was their game.
Yeah.
And Nintendo basically took their code and used it all for 64.
Yeah. Yeah. Nintendo, whenever we get into, like, the history of Nintendo, I'm always like, wow, they're just, like, the smartest dumb company in games.
That does more or less sum it up.
Like, sometimes they do, like, really smart things, and then sometimes you just are entirely flummoxed by the moves that they make. And I think stuff like the everything since Star Fox, like, 64, or even before that, if you're counting Star Fox 2, it's just like, what was the thought process here?
Yeah.
Just, like, random whim? I don't know.
That's what you get to do when you have a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. I mean, that's kind of, I guess that's the ethos. Just do whatever you want, and eventually you'll hit on something cool. You'll just also hit on a whole bunch of not cool stuff along the way.
Well, speaking of cool stuff, I guess.
Speaking of Battle Royale modes.
Yes, well, that was like 15 minutes ago now. No, 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, it's fine. We're bringing it back.
Speaking at one point today about Battle Royale, Apex Legends
is a Battle Royale game from Respawn Entertainment and EA.
I've fulfilled my promise of playing a game at least a little bit each week, because I did this morning download and play some Apex Legends.
Wow, I didn't think you would do it.
I did do it.
Tell us about it.
Yeah, so basically in Apex Legends, it's a Battle Royale. So if you've played any Battle Royale, you have a general idea of how it's going to go. But in Apex Legends, you play as a member of a 3-person squad, and there are 20 of them, or I guess 19 that you are fighting against. You are the 20th, and you rocket on down to an island, and you fight each other, and there's a ring that closes in and forces you to continue to get into smaller and smaller spaces. Familiar mechanics, if you've watched Talk the Sisters Play Fortnite on YouTube. Mm-hmm. So some of the kind of unique elements of Apex Legends, right, is first of all, the 3-person squad idea, although I think you can play as just 1 or 2 people in certain modes now as well.
I still don't think there's any way to just play as 1.
I feel like I saw something somewhere, but maybe I was wrong. I didn't try to do it in the game, and it certainly wasn't intuitive how to do it in the game, if that was a possibility. Mm-hmm. So the 3-person team mechanic is a little bit unique. They have a system. I was not very good at using it, because, I only played like 2 or 3 games.
Right.
The point system, that's not what it's called. Point system is a really bad way to do it. That's not what I'm trying to say. Where you're able to point at things for your teammates. It's called... Shoot, I can't remember what it was called.
What do you mean, point at things?
You're able to, say, let's go over there, but, without having to say it. You can, point out places that you're looking at, or, point out enemies.
I guess kind of like
ping
emoting.
System. That's
ping
what it's
system.
Called. I found it not super easy to use, but I think it would have gotten easier with more practice. And also definitely really allowed you to get around using voice chat at all. Which is a dope thing for them to have figured out.
Yeah.
And then also, it's in a smaller playing area than you see in most of the other games. It's a little more compact, and also a little fewer players than generally you see in the other game that you have to talk about in relationship to Apex Legends, which is Fortnite.
Yeah, my impression of Apex Legends is that they sort of smashed, if we were doing a mashup of Overwatch and Fortnite.
No, that makes sense. Yeah.
It's first-person shooter, it's more team-based, but it's still a battle royale, and you have set characters. So
yes.
in Fortnite, you just
get
have,
a randomly generated.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can get skins and stuff in Fortnite, so you can look the way you want to, but it doesn't make any functional difference on the way that you play.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas in Apex Legends, you pick from, I think they have like 8
It's 8 characters now, though they'll be adding a new one this week.
Yeah, that all have different abilities and strengths. And so a lot of it is getting on a team that has good, like, balanced skills that work well together.
Yes, you aren't allowed to have more than one of the same legend, they're called, on a 3-person team. Mm-hmm. That was never a problem for me. I picked a legend and then had somebody else pick it.
Yeah.
I mostly played as Lifeline, who is the medic, because I am not good at this game, and I wanted to have the ability to heal myself. Also, right. The tutorial level had you play as Lifeline, so right. I knew what her special power was.
Right.
But it was pretty fun.
It was pretty fun?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not very good at first-person shooters,
right?
So that definitely holds me back. I had Clickbait Boyfriend play a couple rounds. He was a lot better than I was. Mm-hmm. But I do find, I don't know, mostly I'm sure that online play is terrible and toxic, but I don't turn on voice chat, so I don't have to deal with that stuff. And I'm sure it's all much more frustrating if you care about how it's going. But for me, it's just the very rare times that I occasionally play these Battle Royale games, it's just a reminder of human kindness.
Mm-hmm.
I need to shout out, I wrote down the handle, Ghost Boy 5. Ghost Boy 5, like, freaking carried me through one level. He revived me twice. He took me to a respawn point.
Right. That's another thing, too, that's different from Fortnite, is that you can respawn your teammates after you die, if you're able to do that.
Yeah. He saved me from the ring twice. I was, like, trying to sprint to get to the thing, and I died, and he came back for me. Ghost Boy 5. I was stunned. I was truly astonished.
I know that, like, not all online play is toxic. And, like, Apex Legends also has, like, it's not small, but it does have a smaller player base than the World Goliath that is Fortnite. So I'm sure the smaller the community, the easier it is to sort of police it.
It was also reassuring to see people who also didn't know what they were doing.
Uh-huh.
Because my level was so low that I think I was getting matched against, like, also relatively new players.
Uh-huh.
So it was nice to see, like, other people on my team die before me. And I did get 1 kill in my couple of games.
Good job.
So proud of myself for that. So yeah. I enjoyed it. It's not a game that I think I would come back to on any regular basis because I'm bad at it and I have a lot of games. But it was fun. I didn't have a strong preference for it over Fortnite. In Fortnite, you can play single player, which is a plus.
Yeah.
But yeah, Apex Legends is apparently played by, at least as of this summer, about 8 to 10 million people a week.
Yeah.
Which isn't Fortnite. But man, it's crazy how many people play video games, huh?
Yeah, it is. I mean, especially, like, there's a lot of people who just, like, pick a game, and that's the game that they play for a few years, you know?
Yeah.
Which is a different way of playing video games than the way we do it. I mean, except for the fact that you do play games for years, which is because you play them very slowly. Not because you're, like, in a community of, not like a live service game.
Not because I have friends.
But yeah, a lot of people play games like that. Which is totally valid. Just, it is strange to think about at the same time.
Well, if you're one of those people, you still have another year or two of Apex Legends, probably, because it only came out last February.
Yeah.
And Shadow dropped.
Yeah. I was reading about the marketing they did, because, like, Respawn's, like, not an unknown name. People liked the Titanfall series that they had made before then, but it doesn't have necessarily the clout of, like like, you would have to be, like, Nintendo to really effectively shadow drop something. You know, like a new IP.
Yeah.
To
be fair, Apex Legends is mostly a new IP. It is technically in the Titanfall universe.
Yes, but I mean, like, even if it had been, like, Titanfall Battle Royale, like, that's not the same thing as, like, shadow dropping, like...
Mario.
Or...
Shooter world.
Or even some, like a new Persona or something.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So I was like, how did they ever get anything out of this? But apparently they actually invited 100 influencers to their studio to try it and tease it out during halftime of Super Bowl. Which was interesting. Apparently there was some back and forth among the team about how they felt about doing it that way. But it seemed to have worked, at least, in terms of generating hype.
Yeah. I mean, clearly, because it's still going strong.
Yeah. The CEO of Respawn, in particular, apparently said that he thought it was gross, this particular marketing approach, and that he thought it sounded like the Fire Festival marketing.
What a bizarre man. What a weird thing to compare it to.
I mean, all the Fire Festival documentaries came out this year, right? So it's topical.
I guess he had just watched both of those.
I think it's just, like, it's concerning to do it this way if you don't maybe have 100% confidence in what you're releasing, right?
Yeah.
Even if you had only 90% confidence, like, doing it this way is definitely a big power move that could either really work for you or totally come back and bite you.
Well, apparently they were inspired by Beyonce.
Yeah.
Literally one of them said that. I'm not making a joke.
Maybe that's why the Fire Festival comparison, you know, they're just really into music.
Apparently. But they were also apparently concerned about Titanfall fans being pissed if they announced this more in advance.
I mean, that's because of EA.
Right.
Because EA has such a, mostly deservedly, bad rap about acquiring developers and then sort of making them do what they demand.
Well, in this case, the developers have said, and who knows if EA forced them to say this, that they had to convince EA to let them do this.
Yeah.
You know, take that with a grain of salt, I guess, but...
Well, I can see how EA might be a little wary of a Battle Royale game in particular, just because that's such a market to compete with, right?
Yeah, I mean, definitely.
Versus just like any sort of standard live service game. Like, I imagine they were kind of expecting, like, make Titanfall, but with a season pass.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And online events. And they brought them something different. And new IPs, too. Like, I'm sure that made EA go, no, we only like sure things, thank you.
Yeah.
Even at the cost of all of your artistic integrity.
Mm-hmm.
That's EA's style, usually.
Yeah.
Even though they have, at least with Respawn, have changed their tune lately.
Well, we'll see if they can handle themselves better going forward.
Well, they let them make a, you know, it is Respawn that made the Star Wars game, right? Yeah. So they let them make a big single player game.
And
so
it
that's
did
progress.
Well. So
It did really well. It was very successful. I mean, it was still connected to a big IP, but one step at a time.
Yep.
You know?
Baby steps. Apex Legends, like all of these Battle Royale games, a ton of lore.
Mm-hmm.
I don't... Like, one, a shout out to them. Some diverse characters in Apex Legends. Pretty meaningless once you get onto the battlefield, but whatever. In some ways, that's the way it should be, so cool and props to them for that.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I just have a really hard time understanding, even as somebody who is very into the lore of some very specific games, like, why on earth you would ever care about the lore of a battle royale.
I don't know why you'd really care about the lore, but I understand why you'd want to have a character with a distinct personality.
Sure, a character with a personality, absolutely. A detailed character card, for sure. But I think that there's a lot more to it than that. And I just don't... I don't know. It's so divorced from the actual gameplay that it's just really interesting to me that they build this story around it that just has absolutely nothing to do with what happens in the game, except from, like, season to season.
I'm not super familiar with any of the actual lore from Apex. Like, I know the characters and I know some of the personalities that they have, but unlike Overwatch, like, do they actually, like Overwatch, have, like, animated shorts or anything?
I mean, I know they've been doing some videos in the lead up to this season 4 where they introduced a brand new character that was going to be the new character, but then they had the real new character kill him. But we've also seen his daughter looking sad, and she's in the code, so they think she's going to be a season 5 character. It's like, this is a lot.
That's not a lot. I think that's the perfect amount, honestly.
Okay, I don't know. I know.
If it's all tied to announcing a new character, like giving them a little bit of backstory in terms of an announcement,
no,
in
you're
order to
right.
shape that character's personality, I think that's fine. I think the stuff that Overwatch does is a little over the top and is a bit more like, look, we're so representational, please. So, like, anything to that level, I generally go, too. But some people get really into it.
I know. It's just not my kind of game. So it's, I mean, I enjoyed it, but it's just not my kind of, I'm going to play this every day game.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating to me. That's all, I guess.
I find Apex's representation a little bit more compelling than Overwatch's, just because they have a lot of different stuff across 8 characters.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, they're not, a lot of them are not white, for instance.
Yeah.
Which is pretty immediately apparent. Like, you can have, like, they also have queer characters, like Overwatch does, but that's not as immediately apparent as you're playing on a battlefield,
especially
whereas with this, like, you're just surrounded by people with different skin colors in the game.
Yeah.
Which is good. And also, it's from initial, like, the very start, whereas Overwatch, like, still doesn't have, like a black woman character.
Right.
Or something.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. Like, if you're gonna make lots of different characters with the personalities and different skills, then they should all look different from each other.
I agree.
Yeah. That's just good design. Anyway.
Well, it's coming to China.
Is it really?
Tencent is working on it.
It's always Tencent, isn't it?
Seem to be the only ones allowed to. Yep.
They're literally, when China's got something, it's just like, who? Oh, Tencent. It's just, they're everywhere now.
Yeah. It's also turned into a big esports thing.
Right, of course. It's gotta.
It was the first one that ESPN did for their EXP, like, series.
Wow.
There's a lot of money involved, as you would expect. How long do you think until esports really hits it mainstream?
It's getting there.
I know it is, but I just mean, how long until it's taken as seriously as, I don't know, even like tennis?
Probably not that long. I care the same amount as tennis as I do about esports, so it's already there for me.
You're into video games, though. You're not a good example.
I meant that they're both about 0, so... No, they're both about, like, 5 out of 100. Like, yeah. I'll watch a tennis game or an esports game if they're, like, on the TV. But I'm not seeking out any tennis or esports.
Yeah.
So they're about the same.
And they can't talk about a Battle Royale game without talking about loot boxes. Respawn got some bad press this summer about a special event with loot boxes that were, like, crazy, crazy expensive.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, there was an item you couldn't get until you'd gotten all 24 other loot box items.
Mm-hmm.
And they apologized. Like, credit to them where credit's due. But, man, just unavoidable.
Yeah. It is, I believe, the only stuff that is only purchasable is cosmetic items.
Yeah.
Whereas everything else you can theoretically unlock through play.
Yes.
So that's good, at least. I don't know. We need to do the mashup, so we can't talk about loot boxes. Make it your topic for next week.
Yeah, think about it on your own time, listeners. How do you feel about it? How much money would you spend on a loot box to get what you want?
Yeah.
So let's mash.
Well, you're in ships, and it's a battle royale. It's Star Fox 64 battle royale mode. The end.
I mean, that's not bad.
It's Super Smash Bros. But battle royale.
No, I mean, like a airplane starship based battle royale would be pretty cool.
It would be a lot.
It'd be like a very toned down EVE Online.
Yeah. But, like, it would have to be, like, it's cool, okay? Like, whatever. I'm just thinking about, like, the technical limitations of having 100 spaceships on screen at once.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think you could do that on the current generation. Maybe next gen.
Well, next gen is coming. It is coming soon.
It's coming soon.
So we gotta start pitching things for PS5, Emma.
Stop. Please don't call it that. So yeah, that's fine. It could be on the next generation. But also, like, how chaotic.
Yeah.
Also, I guess in terms of, like, character types, you have, like, different kinds of ships that specialize in different things, right?
Yeah.
Like, you could have, like, the normal ship, the really small and speedy ship, the
tank ship.
Big tank ship, yeah.
Warp ship.
The warp ship.
The medevac ship.
Yeah. It wouldn't really be medevac. It would be like repair ship. Yeah. Who cares about the dead people inside the ship as long as the ship can keep going?
You could also do a 3-player rail shooter.
Mm-hmm.
Where you each have a different role.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be 3-player online multiplayer.
Mm-hmm.
Don't have a good idea about the story. Your animals, of course.
Of course, just randomly.
Yeah.
Your names are Happy, Bunny, and Coyote Jones. And
I like that. I like the normal last name. That's good.
And Untitled Goose.
Yes, good.
I think that brings in the various elements of the Star Fox names.
Yeah.
Plus Goose.
Perfect. The crossover we all really deserve.
Just really stick Untitled Goose in anything.
It's true. It works everywhere.
Works everywhere.
No, I think the ship battle royale would be pretty dope, and when somebody releases it, I mean, we're gonna feel ripped off.
We sure are.
Alright, folks. Well, thanks.
That was an easy one.
Yeah, that was an easy mashup. For once in our lives. So, on that positive note, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Talk This.
It's dangerous to podcast alone.
We've been your hosts, Madelyn and
Emma.
And if you like the show, you should follow us on social media. We are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Talk This Podcast, and on YouTube as Talk This Sisters. So follow, subscribe, like, and comment, and keep up for all the latest Talk This news and various other comments. You should also check out our website, www.talkthispodcast.com, where you can read more about the show, see the games that are in the hat that we're about to pick from 2 weeks from now, and also check out our blog, where you can read long-running, but man, soon to come to an end, or at least a change, series, Clickbait Boyfriend, or My Boyfriend, has now finished Kingdom Hearts 3 and only has Kingdom Hearts Remind left to go.
Wowzers.
Spoilers, he has some thoughts about Mickey Mouse.
As always.
Literally, as always. But also our long-running TV watch blog, Split Screen, where we're watching Coffee Prince and My Hero Academia, as well as other various blogs interspersed in there and good fun stuff. Finally, if you enjoy the show, the most important thing to do is to subscribe so you never miss an episode. We are on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, Pandora on the app, Pocket Casts, Overwatch Cast, just kidding, Overcast, and all the podcasts, any place you can find a podcast, you can find Talk This. So that's it for my spiel. Emma, what are we going to talk about in 2 weeks?
In 2 weeks, we are going to talk about Valkyrie Profile and Indivisible.
All right, an Indivisible Profile.
Yep.
I am psyched.
Maybe I will go back and do the final boss fight in Indivisible. Nope, not doing that.
Did you get that one as a physical copy?
No.
Dang it. Okay.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. I'll figure it out.
I couldn't, mail it to you anyway.
Yes, you could.
That seems like a hassle.
Feels worth it to me.
I would have to get, a box, and I'd have to,
No, you wouldn't. You would get an envelope and put the cartridge in.
The cartridge? Oh, I have it. It's not on the Switch. I don't think. Couldn't mail you a disc in an envelope.
I guess not.
It would just be shattered when it arrived to you.
We'll work out how the postal service works on our own time. But listeners, next week tune in for a side quest episode where we'll be talking about the video game topic of my choice. Emma suggested loot boxes, but that feels like more of an Emma topic because you could talk about it for 20 hours and not get there. So I'll mull it over. We might announce it on social media if I come up with it before an hour before we do the show.
You better.
I'm just kidding. But tune in for that, because those ones are always a lot of fun to record. So, Emma, do you wanna send the people off with a grin?
This week, I hope that you do a lot of barrel rolls. Do a barrel roll!